Hey y'all, it's Saint Pam again. Today I'm going to talk about the Tuatha Danann and possible ways to roleplay their classes. I will admit that while this faction is interesting, I doubt that I'll be playing as one. I also want to apologize for not having this video up yesterday. I was completely bombed out. I was so tired I could hardly even think. Um, I need to start pre-recording again. That way I have a couple of videos in queue ready to go in case that happens again. Anyway, let's get started. First up we have the Blessed Crows. This is a healing class that was created by Bran the Blessed. Bran was not only one of the first to discover their near immortality, he was also one of the first to find one of the things that could still kill them. Though he died, his legacy lived on in the form of his healing cauldron. The Blessed Crows began to make their own, and each one of them carries it. So initially, I think this class would be completely focused on the perfection of their cauldron. This is not strictly a healing class either, as they have some interesting combat abilities. With that in mind, I see them having a vengeful streak. They may be very protective of the people they are close to and very wary of anyone outside of their circle. Even then, I think they would do their best to heal anyone in their realm while in combat and protect them as best they could. Next up, we've got the Black Riders, or also known as the Dullahan. I may have just said that wrong. This class is unique to others and perhaps more terrifying due to being headless. This is also a shape-shifting class. They use their heads and spines as weapons, which I would just run if somebody threw their head at me. This adds to the fear they spread, which also helps to counter their weaker physical abilities. First off, I find myself wondering if their heads shift along with the rest of their body, or if their heads keep the same shape while their bodies change, or vice versa. That'll be interesting to see how that mechanic plays out. That's got little to nothing to do with RP, but I'm curious. In RP, I think that these guys would be fairly aggressive, though I suppose there may be a few pranksters among them. You know, playing dead after they hide their head in the perfect place for a jump scare, that sort of thing. But yeah, I see them as being fairly aggressive, even verbally towards their fellows, and even more so against their enemies. Alright, now we see the Dark Fool. This is a musical class that uses their abilities to mess with and attack their enemies. Being the tricksters that they are, they of course bend their abilities towards deception. However, they also use their craft to help their comrades. Not only that, but they have abilities that specifically target the mind. Even more than the Dark Riders, these guys and gals are probably pranksters. I imagine they would have a hard time turning that off, even in serious and formal situations. Though I hardly expect to see everyone doing that. Maybe a few would actually be tired of it. Someone that puts their toys away when they aren't on the battlefield, so to speak. We have the Druids now. Unlike traditional views of Druids, these guys are not healers. They are philosophers. They are fighters that use the power they draw from celestial bodies for their abilities. Druids also sacrifice friend, foe, or themselves for the greater good of the Tuatha. This class is a bit more hardcore than I've come to expect from Druids. While they draw on worldly bodies, I could see many of their rituals involving some blood. That's largely because of the sacrificing. If the Tuatha overall allows for it, then I imagine a few may act as inquisitors, at least for the torture parts. Other than that, I could see them doing a lot of studying and speculation about the universe. Alright, so now we have the Empaths. This group of healers use their abilities to aid their fellows in a different way. Instead of casting spells to simply heal, they actually take the wounds onto their own bodies. Doing this comes with the risk of additional side effects. It also comes with the advantage of giving the empath some of the most powerful healing abilities in all of the realms. For this class, I think we could see at least a few that are extremely loyal to the Tuatha. Anyone that would willingly choose a path that allows them to hurt themselves for the good of the realm would be a borderline fanatic in my mind. We may also see a few that take a certain amount of pleasure in the pain they ultimately inflict on themselves. Perhaps there will even be a couple that walk the path of an empath with the hopes that they can make the ultimate sacrifice in order to save someone else and become a martyr in the process. The Fiana are up next. They are a group of fighters founded by Fiana. These warriors have a special war cry that grants powers to nearby allies, an ability that is useful both in and out of combat. In addition to the war cry, they can run quickly, which means that they can wear less armor than other warriors. As with other warriors, I could see these guys and gals having a meatheadish tendencies. I imagine they would spend quite a bit of time bragging about their combat prowess over beers. I believe they would see it as a particular point of pride that they can make do with less armor than their counterparts. We've got another archer up next, the Forest Stalker. They do not shoot as far as others, but they use very powerful weapons. As one might expect, they are very good at camouflaging themselves within their realm's forests. They can call on the forest to aid them and to actually make arrows for them from the trees. Forest stalkers also dip these arrows in poison. This class puts me in mind of how I usually think of wood elves. So I imagine that's how many players or people will play them. In my mind, they would have a great reverence for nature. They would likely issue harsh punishments to anyone that trespasses on or causes damage to it and to their homes, being friend or foe. I personally wouldn't want to cross them, especially not on their home turf. Alright, now we have the Morrigan. They are spirit mages that feel a strong association with crows, wolves, and cows. This class can also transform the spirits they control from one to another, or from one type to another type. They feed off of the death that's around them. The first Morrigan, called Phantom Queen, was originally a banshee. She just learned how to take control of the spirits of the dead. I believe this would be a solemn class overall. I do not think this path, or that this is a path that would, as a general rule, attract the more boisterous sort. They would also most likely have a certain reverence for the spirits they use, though I suppose this might also hold a certain allure for more malevolent types as well. Right? Now we are on to the Redcaps. This class uses their enemies' blood to open a way into the Vel. They are a stealthing class. These people also use their enemies' souls as a type of hood that takes on the red tint. This red tint is the color of the path that they've opened in the Vel. This is, of course, where they get their name. It seems like a fairly brutal stealth class, honestly. I imagine many of them would carry a vial of blood with them, ensuring that they could always slip into the Vel. While they usually use their enemy's blood, I imagine they probably also have no problem using their own blood, depending on how much it takes. I think they would have a tendency to wear the blood as a trophy from time to time as well. I also see them as being a fairly serious lot, probably lacking in a sense of humor. The last class we see here are the Wisps. This is a scout class with a twist. During the day, they can remain undetected within the enemy's lands. They are less effective at night because of how they glow. Even if they are fast, they can still be seen easily. To gain their abilities, they must bind their souls to the lanterns they carry. These lanterns can be damaged and can also regenerate. When the lantern is destroyed, it will send their souls into the Vel. Wisps are unable to escape again until their lantern is fully restored. There have also been stories about people becoming lost while attempting to follow them. But again, they're quick, so that wouldn't generally go over well. They come off to me as being very mysterious. I imagine they wouldn't often venture into the night if they didn't have to. It goes without saying that they are likely to be very protective of their lanterns. When not in the midst of battle, it is probably kept under lock and key. That's all I have for now, though. If you agree, disagree, or if you have your own opinions on how they'll be played, please comment below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please like and subscribe. And thank y'all for listening. I hope y'all have a good night.